Bonjour, mesdames et messieurs. Buenos dias, damas y caballeros. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Sung-Hoon Kim, and I'd like to invite all of you to the International Civil Aviation Organization's 40th Assembly SkyTalks. Within the next 2 weeks, we have 68 presentations for you, and we are coming to you live. So please make sure to check out the ICAO channel on YouTube if you missed any of the previous presentations. For those who would like to ask questions, I'd like to remind you to listen to the presentation and invite you to step up to the mic to ask more questions. Our next subject is the aviation's role as an enabler of the UN Sustainable Development Goals. The title is Analysis of Voluntary National Review. A prelude will be given to you by Thilly De Bodt, and the main presentation will be given by Xiaoxi Sun. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that introduction. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and good morning also to, good afternoon, good evening to viewers online. I'm excited to be here and talk to you about the SDGs and the linkages to aviation. Aviation connects people and businesses across continents. Currently, there are about 1,400 scheduled airlines. There's about over 26,000 aircrafts in service. Almost 4,000 airports, and nearly 175 air navigation service providers. So really, aviation is offering an unmatched global network, providing its services in mobility for people across the world, businesses across the world, but also the United Nations, and maybe that needs a little bit more of an explanation. The United Nations has established and endorsed in 2015 the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development Goals, and it includes 17 goals that are a blueprint for global action change on a number of items that go from across health, quality education, a sustainable infrastructure, sustainable industries, climate action, health, and so on. 17 in total. They have about 196 targets, and this is a blueprint truly for prosperity for humans and the planet at large. So aviation is connected and is supporting the work of the UN. As an UN specialized agency, ICAO has tried to dig in a little bit further in this and try to look how actually are we supporting the SDGs. We did a mapping, and the outcome shows that we are supporting 15 out of the 17 SDGs. To give you an example, I'll maybe quickly go back. To give you an example on what the work in global standard setting of ICAO, the TA, the technical assistance, and the technical cooperation, as well as training services that we provide, how they are furthering the SDGs. Just maybe one example on our work with around unmanned aerial systems and drones. These are now used increasingly by the United Nations and the private sector, for example, to carry life-saving medicines and blood supplies from remote areas and communities to health facilities in Africa, for example. So the ICAO really and its work is supporting the Sustainable Development Goals. And in July of each year, there is an opportunity for states to come and show at the United Nations their work and how they are progressing on the Sustainable Development Goals. That they do on a voluntary basis in the voluntary national reviews. And my colleague Xiaoxi Sun is now going to dig in a little bit further into this and show how aviation is actually reflected in these national voluntary reviews. The floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Thilly, for your very encouraging introduction on this specific matter. Some of you might not have known that me and Thilly, we were working in the office of SPCP. It has a very long name. It's called Strategic Planning, Coordination, and Partnerships. The SPCP office was established in 2017 in the ICAO Secretariat with a mandate of further profiling aviation in the UN system, as well as raising awareness of how aviation supports the 15 out of 17 SDGs. Let me refresh your memory that aviation doesn't, though, have a standalone SDG among the 17. However, it has been mainstreamed throughout the agenda. So to this end, at SPCP, we have done an array of outreach and advocacy activities over the 3 years course to enhance this global consensus. We were now preparing for the working paper to be discussed in the A40 assembly and to report back to member states on the outcomes that we have made. We were keen to look for a solid evidence to showcase and to verify the efforts that we have done. And here comes the ideas of having a comprehensive review of a total number of 107 VNRs, Voluntary National Reviews, submitted by 98 UN member states between 2016 and 2018. And our analysis was developed in order to answer the questions on the slide. Question number 1, do states refer to progress made in aviation sectors? Question number 2, do states link aviation's contribution with specific SDGs? And question number 3, do states mention any ICAO strategic objectives when reporting on specific SDG achievements? So, the first finding is also very encouraging. Given the continuous efforts made on profiling aviation by global stakeholders, including ICAO, we would like to verify the very basic assumption that there should be a promising number of references to aviation in the VNRs year by year. And the result confirmed this statement. We definitely identified an upward trend. So in 2018, 77% of VNRs reference aviation, up from 25% in 2016. We then shift the focus on SDGs. How many VNRs actually established a clear linkage between aviation and SDGs? So we'll see from the chart, we have identified 59 out of 107 VNRs with linkages, specific linkages between aviation and SDGs. And in the number of VNRs indicating linkages between aviation and SDGs, we identify only 20% this type of linkage in 2016. However, the figure then jumps to 60% and 66% in 2017 and 2018, respectively. Okay, so move on. You might have a question now popping up. The voluntary national reviews are actually guided by an annually chosen theme, which means there might be the possibility that the number of states reporting on aviation vary because different years and different SDGs is reviewed. We did take this factor into consideration, and the data contained in this slide even prove so that states started to recognize that there is a cross-disciplinary linkages among SDGs and how aviation support different SDGs. In 2016, states established a link between the aviation sector and SDGs for only 4 goals, which are SDG 8, 9, 11, 16. And the number grows significantly to 8, as doubled in 2018, including SDG 4, 8, 9, 11, 13, 14, 16, and 17. Very encouraging. So among all the SDGs that has been linked against aviation, we could have been wondering which one is the most popular one. So the answer is popular number 1. No surprise, SDG 9 of infrastructure. So we identified 64% of the total SDG aviation linkages referring to SDG 9. Aviation infrastructure is heavily, repeatedly mentioned through airport construction, air navigational infrastructure development at national levels. And popular number 2, SDG 11, sustainable cities and communities. Airport and in general, aviation infrastructure is also heavily intertwined with urban development. This is also confirmed by our analysis that 11% of the total SDG aviation linkages referring to SDG 11, which indicates that aviation infrastructure is truly a major part of sustainable cities and communities worldwide. And popular number 3, SDG 13, climate action. ICAO has been and will be continuously engaged to forge an environmentally responsible aviation sector at global level. And this effort is further testified by our analysis that 8% of the total VNR, including SDG aviation linkages, referring to SDG 13. And we would definitely expect a higher rate in the upcoming years. The last finding of our analysis is more like a testimony. ICAO, through its 5 strategic objectives listed on this slide, in support of 15 out of 17 SDGs. In particular, in 2016, ICAO successfully launched No Country Left Behind initiative, further strengthen the efforts of the implementation of the organization's objectives. Engaging with member states in achieving the 5 strategic objectives is ICAO's key mandate. And our analysis provides the evidence on a case-by-case basis, showcasing that ICAO's mainstream works are heavily underscored by some countries as an important approach to achieving the SDGs. So 7 representing country cases covering all ICAO regions have been identified through our analysis. And due to time constraint, I'm not able to introduce the country cases one by one. And you're very welcome to follow the link on this slide to have a further reading of our A40 SDG paper, whereby the VNR full version VNR analysis report is available. Ladies and gentlemen, having presented the 5 major findings, it brings us to the end of our SkyTalk today. We, of course, very encouraged by the result of the analysis. However, the study also shows that there's so much work to be done. I would like to present it as a way forward rather than conclusions. First of all, the advocacy and outreach on aviation benefits towards the SDGs should continue. And we would further highlight the cross-sectoral linkages among SDGs and how aviation is intertwined with the 2030 agenda. Secondly, to advance the SDGs achievement, the aviation sector should be safe, secure, efficient, economically wearable, and environmentally sustainable. By ensuring so, we would optimize opportunities for further capacity building, and as well as incorporation of specific target and actions in support of SDGs in the aviation sector. Last but not least, aviation to be adequately reflected in the national development frameworks. By doing so, we would definitely expect more references to aviation in the voluntary national reviews submitted by member states in the upcoming years. And this would in turn spur a well-funded aviation sector at national level, which would be driving the total advancement of the achievement of 2030 agenda. Okay, so I think I still have 5 more minutes for questions. So if you have questions, feel free.
Sometimes questions are necessary to ensure if there is a proper level of understanding the theses which were presented here. For me, this presentation is also linked to the matter of the intersectoral coordination.
Yes.
So understanding of the sustainable development goals here and the linkages among different sectors, including aviation as primarily, is the core of that presentation. However, this concept is abstract. So my question is spurred by the doubt if I properly understand the concept of the linkage, if the definition of this linkage is complete. So it is you could add something more to the concept of the linkage, bringing us to the limits of which delineate this concept. I would be very, very grateful.
Okay, thank you very much, sir, for readdressing the fact that aviation doesn't have a standalone SDG among the 17 SDGs. So that's why we were, and we have been, and we are going to further profile aviation as an enabler of the UN SDGs. And through this analysis, if I may play back. Oh, here we go. So it says that in 2016, we only identified linkages between aviation with 4 goals. No surprise with SDG 9 because ICAO is the custodian agency of SDG 9 indicator. But however, we can see in 2018 that 8 goals have been linked against aviation by the member states. So member states, in their voluntary national reviews at UN HLPF, they gradually recognize that aviation has the ability to facilitate other sectors in achieving the SDGs. And this is very encouraging. And I'm inviting you to follow the link. We already posted the full version of the VNR reports. It has very detailed data, analysis, and also some paragraphs will be addressing your questions. And this is only the start. This is only start, and this is the very first time that the aviation sector is doing this VNR review. And we will continue these efforts in the next years. Of course, we'll go in depth to look into how aviation is intertwined with other sectors and how these intertwining efforts could further benefit aviation's profiling in UN system and worldwide. I hope my answer is addressing your question.
Of course, thank you so much.
Thank you.
There be any other questions? Well, thank you, Xiaoxi.
Thank you very much. So my last note is engaging with member states in reflecting aviation in member states. It's all our, the people in aviation sector's responsibility. And there's going to be a resolution, revised resolution of this A40, encouraging member states to reflect aviation further in their national voluntary reviews. So action is now. Thank you very much for your listening.